I'm Rachel Liebert. I'm a product and privacy counsel at LinkedIn, and I'm a Weil alum.
I'm Jen Ramos, and I am litigation counsel here at LinkedIn, and I'm a Weil alumni. Being part of the IP group was definitely one of the highlights of my time at Weil. Mm-hmm. Working with Randy, Ben, Todd was just incredible for me.
Yeah.
They gave me incredible experiences and really let me delve into some of the skills that I think have played out to really just shape my career.
Working with Randy Singer on privacy work, which is not something that our group generally does, I think really made me stand out when I was applying for in-house jobs, and also just really gave me a chance to do a whole different field that I had never thought about and that I actually now use every single day here as a product counsel. As much as I love our job now, what I really miss when I think back on Weil is how, all of us started as a class together. We'd all sit on the floor late night, eating our dinners, hanging out. So.
And really just commiserating with each other. It was
really
just
the people,
the people were so great. That's how we ended up together again.
There's nothing bad about the firm. I loved my experience, but I did not want to be a litigator for life. So that was kind of what prompted me. I also left at a time when I was not unhappy at the firm. I only had about I had just become a fourth year, so I didn't have a ton of experience, and I kind of saw a few really perfect job descriptions.
I was definitely at a very happy point at the firm. It was just, I knew that just in terms of the experiences that I wanted and how I wanted my career to progress, I couldn't do that within a firm anymore. I recall that I reached out to Keto, and he reviewed my resume, and he took it from 5 to 10. It was awesome. Once I did go ahead and apply for the LinkedIn position, I recall reaching out to you.
Totally.
I know this person from Weil. She's at LinkedIn now. Let me just send her a message and see if she has any advice. I also reached out to one of my mentors from the firm that had gone on to NBC Universal, and I was like, hey, I know you've been in-house for a few years. I'm applying to this position. What advice do you have? And it was really helpful to get that in-house perspective, right? Because your mentality completely changes, because the framework from which you think through things is completely different. Being a litigation associate, it can be very hard to think about how am I going to get this job? There's so few litigation jobs out there, but I think what I would tell the litigation associates is it can't be done. Yes, I'm not doing depositions, but the skills that you use in many of the things you do at Weil translate well into what you do in-house. So for example, I would do client interviews frequently, or participate in client interviews, or prepare questions that you knew you needed to get certain information to prepare for an affidavit, for example. And then you would write that affidavit, but what you recall as a litigation associate, I wrote an affidavit. So it's learning how to translate what you do to its most basic skills, which is, am I an effective communicator in how I communicate? Do I know how to write? How do I write in a way that makes sense to people and also connects with the audience correctly? Do I know how to interact with people in an appropriate way? Because at a firm, you're only really interacting with the clients and the partners and some associates, but here you're interacting with people from all walks of life. We interact with people from around the world. So it's learning how to translate the skills of I know how to work with everyone. I know how to work in teams really well, and I know how to case manage. So one of the things that I really learned being a litigation associate was managing cases. That was what I really enjoyed. I'm not doing trials here, but what I learned was really important. I learned how to take a project from the beginning to the end and how to execute. Thinking about the little pieces, how to break them down, and how to just get stuff done so that when my boss looks at it, she's just like, it's done, I can approve it.
I think it's really important to talk to alum and have those resources to understand what you're getting into when you go to interviews. Weil has tons of smart alums to reach out to some of them and just be what is your day-to-day like? Not that you shouldn't ask people for help. It's totally okay to, but not to phrase every interaction as I'm only reaching out to you because I want you to refer me to this job, right?
That's
because
such a good point.
That kind of wears on people, and it's also a big burden for someone to feel like they have to take the time out of their day to refer you to a job and get to know you for that purpose. But if it's more like, oh, let's grab a coffee, like I'd love to stay in touch and hear about what you're doing, I think that totally shifts the narrative and makes people much more willing to, just spend a little time chatting with you.
Absolutely. And I think it's important to reiterate, like, no one's going to get offended if you just email someone to say, how are you doing? Just wanted to let you know how I'm doing now.
Totally.
I actually really appreciate it because it's like a good way to connect with people you were with before.